found and they found out. They got kicked out of their 110th country because they asked for it. And now we're being told that the world is on the verge of another Holocaust. And that's not an exaggeration on my part. No, that's literally what we're being told. These people are such perpetual and professional victims that the Israeli government came right out and said with a video statement that the Jews are under attack with brutal force, that they're about to die, and that they're the victims of a modern-day pogrom. They just love this shit. Look.
At this very moment in Amsterdam, Jews are being attacked at multiple locations with brutal force. It's a pogrom in action. I call upon the Dutch authorities, the Amsterdam authorities, to act immediately to prevent further injury and to prevent the loss of lives.
You know, our good friend Dan Bilzerian offered up a great response to this kvetching crybaby. He said, quote, "The world has been saying that about Palestine for over a year, dickhead. You're the bullies, and this is your wake-up call." End quote. And you know what? He's exactly right. This should be their wake-up call. The world is tired of their shit. And you see, this is all their fault in the first place. As Israel wages its wars all over the Middle East, and as Israel sends its U.S. war machine to do its bidding all over the world, they're creating refugees. They're creating a migration crisis so that they can overrun and overwhelm the Christian West with third world savages, millions of whom are Muslim. Especially in Europe, where tens of millions of Islamic migrants have poured into formerly white nations after decades of war and regime change paved the way for a manufactured migration crisis that NGOs like the Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society have been ready, willing, and able to assist in. They ferry as many of these people in as possible. They do it by land, they do it by sea, and they do it by air. And they inject them right into Christian Europe and right into North America. And then they brag about it. They brag about being the driving force behind this new diversity of the West. But in doing so, they've imported their own third world religious clash. That's why riots play out on American streets and college campuses every time a bunch of teenagers hold a Free Palestine protest. Israel and its Jewish diaspora, which has its tentacles all over in every corner of the world, are constantly looking for an excuse to attack the people that they hate and then play the victim. And they've been allowed to do it. And this time is no different. This global octopus, this Jewish-Israeli network, is using government, it's using law enforcement, it's using the media to paint themselves to be the victims, to paint themselves to be on the verge of a genocide, to manipulate the rest of the world into letting them continue to do whatever the they want, all at the expense of everyone else on earth. We have American reporters. We have American politicians right now going on TV, writing in papers, posting all over X, all about how some kind of Holocaust has taken place in Amsterdam because a bunch of Israeli bullies got up and found out. These guys were criminals, like so many of their people tend to be. They went into somebody else's country and committed acts of violence against people who they thought wouldn't fight back. But guess what? They weren't in the West Bank. They weren't in Gaza. They weren't going up against disarmed Palestinian women and babies or malnourished 6-year-olds throwing rocks at tanks. They were on an even playing field this time. In a street fight, on neutral ground, and they got their asses